The Tauran scout ship Celestial Claw glided silently through the void, its sleek hull gleaming under distant starlight. Captain Kang stood tall on the command deck, his posture perfect as he surveyed the main viewing screen. His dark eyes narrowed as the scanners revealed their target, a solitary vessel of unfamiliar design, drifting near the outer edges of Alliance space. "Magnify," he ordered, his voice calm but commanding. The image sharpened, revealing a bulky ship with an irregular shape. The vessel appeared almost primitive compared to the elegant Tauran craft. Its hull was a patchwork of metal plates with visible welding lines. External pipes and conduits snaked along its surface instead of being properly concealed within the structure. First Officer Neri stepped closer to the display, her face showing a mixture of curiosity and disdain. "Captain, preliminary scans indicate minimal defensive capabilities. Their propulsion system appears to use outdated fusion technology. Look at those visible rivets," she continued, pointing to the crude connections clearly visible on the ship's exterior. "Their technology is centuries behind ours. The Council will be disappointed we rushed here for nothing." The Celestial Claw had been dispatched at maximum speed when the Galactic Alliance's Deep Space Monitoring Network detected an unusual signal near the Cygnus Arm, a region previously thought empty of intelligent life. The excitement of possible first contact with a new spacefaring civilization had quickly spread through the 17 Alliance species. "Open a channel to Alliance Command," Captain Kang ordered. "I'll prepare my initial report while we continue observations." The communications officer, Tai, nodded and established the secure connection. As Kang began dictating his findings, the sensors chimed with an alert. "Captain," Todd called out, "the unknown vessel is broadcasting on multiple frequencies. They appear to be sending greeting messages." Kang raised an eyebrow. "They detected us already. Interesting. Let's hear it." The bridge speakers came alive with a calm, measured voice speaking in flawless galactic standard, the common language developed by the Alliance for interspecies communication. "Greetings from the human spaceship Dauntless. I am Captain Park, representing Earth and humanity. We come in peace and friendship, seeking contact with other intelligent life. We are open to communication and cultural exchange at your convenience." A moment of surprised silence fell over the Tauran bridge crew. "They speak standard?" Nari asked, confusion evident in her voice. "How is that possible? We've never encountered their kind before." "They must have intercepted our communications and decoded our language," offered the science officer. "Woo. Not as primitive as they appear, perhaps." Captain Kang considered this development. "Prepare a response. Basic information only. Let's see what we're dealing with before revealing too much about ourselves or the Alliance." As the message was prepared, Kang studied the human vessel more carefully. The HSS Dauntless, an unusual name for such an ungainly ship. Something about the vessel bothered him, though he couldn't quite identify what. "Message ready, Captain," Tai announced. Kang nodded. "Transmit." The response was almost immediate. The human captain appeared on the main screen, a female with straight black hair and confident eyes. She wore a simple gray uniform with minimal insignia. "Captain Kang, thank you for responding," Park said with a slight bow of her head. "We are pleased to make first contact with your civilization. The Dauntless is an exploration vessel, seeking to map this sector and establish peaceful relations with any intelligent species we encounter." Several of the Tauran bridge crew exchanged glances, barely containing smirks. The humans' diplomatic approach seemed naive, almost childishly earnest compared to the complex political dynamics that governed Alliance interactions. "Captain Park," Kang responded smoothly, "we represent the Tauran Confederacy, a member of the Galactic Alliance comprising 17 advanced civilizations. Your presence in this sector is unexpected. Our records showed no evidence of spacefaring capability from your region of origin." "We are relatively new to deep space exploration," Park admitted with a small smile. "Humanity has only ventured beyond our solar system in the last century. We would be honored to learn more about the Galactic Alliance and share information about Earth culture and history. As the conversation continued, the Tauran crew grew increasingly amused by what they perceived as the humans' technological inferiority. When Park offered to transmit specifications about human scientific achievements, several officers couldn't help but chuckle. Their hull is composed of basic titanium alloys, Wu reported after analyzing the data. No quantum-reinforced materials, no neuroplastic compounds. They're using chemical rockets for short-range maneuvering. It's like looking at a museum piece. What the Taurans couldn't see was happening inside the Dauntless. Deep within the ship's core, Captain Park ended the transmission and turned to her executive officer, Jin. "They took the bait," she said, her diplomatic smile fading into a more serious expression. "Their scans only detected what we wanted them to see." Jin nodded. "Security protocols are holding. The outer hull is masking all internal systems as planned. They have no idea what's beneath." The command center of the Dauntless looked nothing like what the Taurans might have imagined. Instead of the crude technology suggested by the exterior, the bridge was a marvel of advanced engineering. Holographic displays floated in precise formations around the officers. The walls themselves seemed alive with flowing data streams. "What's your assessment, Captain?" Jin asked. Park studied the detailed scans they had taken of the Tauran vessel while appearing to fumble with basic communication protocols. "Their technology is impressive, but predictable. Standard energy weapons, conventional shields. Nothing we haven't prepared for." She walked to the central command station, where a three-dimensional model of the celestial claw rotated slowly, highlighted sections indicating vulnerabilities. "Keep all advanced systems dormant. Maintain the facade. Let's see where this goes before we reveal our hand." Back on the Tauran ship, Captain Kang was completing his report to Alliance Command. The humans appear to be a young species with limited technological development. Their ship's design suggests they prioritized function over efficiency. I recommend minimal diplomatic engagement until we assess whether they have anything valuable to offer the Alliance. The Alliance representative, appearing as a hologram on the bridge, nodded. "Continue observation, Captain. If they prove as undeveloped as your initial assessment suggests, we may simply establish monitoring outposts in their territory rather than formal diplomatic relations." As the hologram faded, Kang turned to his crew. "Maintain position near the human vessel. Continue passive scans. Let's humor their attempts at cultural exchange while we complete our assessment." None of the Taurans noticed the subtle redistribution of energy happening within the Dauntless, as dormant systems secretly came to standby mode, ready to activate if needed. The human ship's crude exterior remained unchanged, giving no hint of the technological marvel hidden beneath its unassuming shell. The greatest advantage in any potential conflict is being underestimated by your opponent. As the Tauran crew laughed quietly at the seemingly primitive human technology, the Dauntless waited patiently, its true capabilities concealed behind a carefully crafted mask of technological inferiority. First contact had been established. The game of diplomacy and deception had begun. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Alliance Council buzzed with conversation. 17 species were represented, each seated according to their status within the Alliance. The discovery of a new spacefaring race had prompted this emergency session. Admiral Du, the senior Tauran representative, stood at the center of the chamber. Behind him, a holographic display showed the human vessel Dauntless from multiple angles, highlighting its seemingly crude construction. "Distinguished representatives," Admiral Du began, his voice carrying the natural authority of someone used to command. "As you can see from Captain Kang's report, these humans appear to have barely mastered interstellar travel. Their ship looks assembled from scrap. Why waste resources bringing them into our fold?" The Miri representative, a tall figure with silvery skin, leaned forward. "We should not be hasty to dismiss a new species. Even primitive technologies might offer unexpected benefits." Admiral Du waved his hand dismissively. "Their propulsion system uses basic fusion principles we mastered 3 centuries ago. Their communications technology is rudimentary. Their weapons, if you can call them that, appear to be simple projectile launchers and low-yield energy beams. The debate continued for hours. Some council members argued for caution and respectful observation. Others suggested immediate technological assistance to elevate the humans. A few voiced concerns about allowing an unpredictable species to develop independently so close to Alliance space. Admiral Du's position ultimately prevailed. "We will test them," he concluded. "If they show promise, we can reconsider. If not, we establish monitoring outposts in their territory and classify them as a pre-integration civilization." The council voted, and the decision was made. New orders were transmitted to Captain Kang aboard the Celestial Claw. Probe the humans' capabilities through a series of escalating challenges. Determine their technological limits and response patterns. When Captain Kang received these orders, he felt a flicker of unease. Something about the human ship and its captain didn't align with their apparent technological level. Nevertheless, orders were orders. "First Officer Nari, prepare a targeted scan of the human vessel's power core," Kang commanded. "Let's see how they respond to a minor intrusion." Nari nodded, programming the sensors to penetrate the Dauntless's outer hull and map its internal power distribution. This was a clear violation of the diplomatic protocols they had established with the humans over the past days. Aboard the Dauntless, alarms silently triggered as the Tauran scanners attempted to map the ship's power systems. The bridge crew watched as their countermeasures fed false data to the scanners while protecting their true systems from detection. "They're testing us," Captain Park observed calmly. "Show them exactly what they expect to see." The sensor officer nodded, manipulating controls on his holographic interface. "Feeding them the fake reactor signature now. They'll see a standard fusion core with expected inefficiencies." Park's face remained neutral, but her mind raced. The Alliance was already moving to provocations sooner than anticipated. Their intelligence had suggested this might happen, but not this quickly. "Captain," her communications officer called out. "They're hailing us." "On screen," Park ordered. Captain Kang appeared, his expression carefully controlled. "Captain Park, we apologize for the intrusive scan. It was a routine security measure." Park smiled diplomatically, though the expression didn't reach her eyes. "We understand the need for caution, Captain Kang. The Dauntless is open to inspection, if that would ease your concerns. We seek peaceful relations and have nothing to hide." The Tauran captain seemed momentarily taken aback by this easy acquiescence. "That won't be necessary at this time. We appreciate your understanding." Over the next several days, the provocations increased. The Taurans conducted weapons tests within unsafe proximity to the Dauntless. They dispatched drones to circle the human vessel at close range. They repeatedly scanned different sections of the ship without permission. After each incident, Captain Park responded with the same measured diplomacy. "We understand your need to assess us. We seek peaceful relations and hope these tests will soon be complete." On the Celestial Claw, First Officer Neri approached Captain Kang in his private quarters. "Sir, I find the humans' responses troubling." Kang looked up from the report he was reading. "Explain." "They show no fear," Neri said. "No anger. No typical responses we would expect from a less advanced species being intimidated. Either they are exceptionally disciplined, or what?" Kang prompted when she hesitated. "Or they're hiding something," she finished. "Their constant claims of peaceful intentions seem almost rehearsed." Kang considered this. He had felt the same unease, but had attributed it to his natural caution. "Continue the testing schedule. Admiral Du wants conclusive results before the next council meeting." The next test was more aggressive. The Celestial Claw fired a low-power energy pulse that passed within meters of the Dauntless's communications array. By any reasonable standard, this was no longer a test, but a clear threat. In the Dauntless Command Center, Captain Park watched the energy beam flash past on the tactical display. Her bridge crew looked to her for guidance, their faces tense. "No response," she ordered. "Not yet." Her tactical officer, Lee, shook his head in frustration. "Captain, we can't keep absorbing these provocations indefinitely. The crew is getting restless." "I know," Park said quietly, "but we need to be certain of their intentions before we act." That certainty came sooner than expected. The Dauntless's advanced communications array had been secretly monitoring all transmissions between the Celestial Claw and Alliance Command. Most were encrypted, but human quantum computing had long since surpassed what the Alliance considered secure. The communications officer's expression turned grave as he decrypted the latest transmission. "Captain, you need to see this." Park reviewed the decoded message, her face hardening as she read. The orders were clear. If human technology proved as limited as initial scans suggested, the Celestial Claw was authorized to disable the Dauntless and bring it to the nearest Alliance outpost for detailed study. The humans themselves would be processed according to standard protocols for pre-integration species. "They're planning to seize our ship," Park announced to her command team. "And us along with it." Executive Officer Jin stepped forward. "Your orders, Captain." Park stood silent for a moment, weighing options and consequences. The Dauntless had been designed for this exact scenario: first contact with potentially hostile advanced civilizations. Its true capabilities remained hidden beneath layers of deception. Activating even some of those systems would reveal that humans were far more technologically advanced than they had pretended to be. "Activate preliminary countermeasures," she finally ordered. "Power up the adaptive shield matrix, but keep it masked behind our conventional shields. Bring defensive systems to standby mode, but maintain emissions control. No sign of our true capabilities unless they make a direct move against us." As her crew moved to implement her orders, Park stared at the image of the Tauran vessel on her display and opened a channel to Captain Kang. One last attempt at diplomacy before things get complicated. When Kang's face appeared on the screen, Park spoke with renewed firmness. "Captain, the Dauntless has detected your weapons systems powering up. We seek peaceful relations, but I must warn you that any hostile action against this vessel will be met with appropriate defensive measures." Kang looked surprised at her directness. "Simply another test, Captain Park. You have nothing to fear if your intentions are truly peaceful." "Our intentions are peaceful," Park replied. "But peace requires mutual respect. I hope yours are the same." As the transmission ended, Park turned to her crew. "Battle stations." Quietly. Below the crude exterior of the Dauntless, hidden systems hummed to life, ready to reveal the truth. The humans had never been the primitive species the Alliance believed them to be. They had simply been patient, waiting for the Alliance to show its true nature before showing theirs. The misunderstanding was about to become very clear. Captain Kang stood on the bridge of the Celestial Claw, watching the human vessel on the main view screen. The decision had been made. After days of testing and provocation, the Alliance Council had determined that these humans were too unpredictable to be allowed free movement within Alliance space. Their ship would be disabled and brought to the nearest research station for study. "Weapons systems ready, Captain," reported the tactical officer. "Target locks established on their main propulsion and communications arrays." Kang nodded. "Proceed with disabling sequence. Low power only. We want their ship intact." The Celestial Claw's elegant weapon ports opened, glowing with blue energy. The bridge crew worked with practiced efficiency, none showing any concern. This would be a simple operation against an outmatched opponent. "Fire," Kang ordered. Brilliant blue energy pulses streaked across space, striking the Dauntless precisely where intended. The Tauran crew expected to see the human ship's systems flicker and fail as the carefully calibrated energy disrupted their power grid. What happened instead defied all expectations. Where the energy pulses struck, the crude exterior of the Dauntless began to change. The seemingly welded metal plates shifted position, flowing like liquid. The rough surface transformed, revealing a gleaming, polished armor beneath that absorbed the energy attacks without visible damage. "What's happening?" Kang demanded, leaning forward in his chair. "Report." The science officer, Wu, stared at his readings in disbelief. The outer hull is reconfiguring, Captain. It appears to be some kind of adaptive material we've never encountered before. As they watched, more changes swept across the human vessel. Sections that had appeared to be external maintenance hatches slid open, revealing sleek weapon ports. Antennas and communication arrays retracted, replaced by advanced sensor clusters that pulsed with energy readings far beyond what the initial scans had shown. "Impossible," whispered First Officer Narity as she studied the new sensor data. "Their power signature has increased tenfold. These readings suggest technology beyond Alliance understanding." On the view screen, the Dauntless no longer resembled the crude explorer they had first encountered. Its true form was emerging, a vessel of extraordinary technological sophistication, with clean lines and an almost predatory appearance. They deceived us, Kang realized, a chill running through him. All this time, the communications officer interrupted his thoughts. "Captain, we're receiving a transmission from the human vessel." Captain Park's face appeared on screen. Her expression remained calm, but there was a new steel in her eyes that hadn't been there before. "Captain Kang, we have absorbed your attack without returning fire. We've shown extraordinary patience throughout your provocations. This is your final warning. Stand down your weapons immediately." Kang felt the weight of the moment pressing on him. Intelligence had been wrong, catastrophically wrong, about human capabilities. But his orders were clear, and backing down now would show weakness. "Continue the attack," he ordered. "Full power to forward weapons. Disable that ship." The celestial claw unleashed its full arsenal, bathing the Dauntless in destructive energy. For a moment, the human ship disappeared within the brilliant flare of the attack. When the light faded, the Dauntless remained untouched. A shimmering field of energy surrounded it, not the standard shielding technology used throughout the Alliance, but something more advanced that seemed to bend space itself around the ship. "Our attacks had no effect," the tactical officer reported, voice rising in alarm. "Their shields absorbed everything we threw at them." Before Kang could issue new orders, the Dauntless moved. Its movement was unlike anything the Taurans had seen, not the expected thrust from engines, but a smooth, almost organic acceleration that suggested a completely different propulsion technology. "They're targeting our weapons systems," Nari warned, studying the tactical display. Precise beams of concentrated energy lanced out from the Dauntless, striking each of the Celestial Claw's weapon ports with surgical precision. Rather than causing catastrophic damage, the beams seemed calibrated to disable rather than destroy. In seconds, the Tauran vessel's offensive capabilities were neutralized. Not a single crew member was injured, but their weapons, engines, and primary power systems were offline. "Emergency power only," reported the engineering officer. "Life support stable, but nothing else is responding." The bridge fell silent as the reality of their situation became clear. They were completely at the mercy of the humans they had dismissed as primitive just minutes earlier. "Open a channel," Kang ordered, his voice tightly controlled despite the shock coursing through him. Captain Park appeared again on screen. Behind her, the Dauntless bridge was now visible, a marvel of advanced technology with holographic interfaces and systems beyond Alliance development. "Captain Kang," Park said evenly, "your vessel has been disabled but not destroyed. Your crew is unharmed. We could have vaporized your ship at any point during your tests, but that is not our way." "Who are you people?" Kang asked, unable to hide his astonishment. "Why the deception?" "We are exactly who we said we are. Humans from Earth," Park replied. "The deception was necessary. Our intelligence suggested the Alliance judges species primarily by their technological advancement rather than their cultural or ethical development. We needed to understand your true intentions before revealing our actual capabilities." On the Celestial Claw's bridge, the full implications were beginning to sink in. The human ship had transformed from what seemed like a primitive vessel to something that had effortlessly neutralized their advanced warship. "Your ship," Nari said, struggling to find words. It's a recursive adaptive defense platform. Park finished for her. What you initially scanned was a specially designed outer hull meant to mask our true technology. When threatened, the ship reconfigures to reveal its actual capabilities. The silence that followed was heavy with realization. The Alliance had severely miscalculated. These humans weren't a primitive species to be studied or controlled. They were technological equals, possibly superiors, who had been watching and evaluating the Alliance all along. Repair crews are being dispatched to your vessel, Park continued. They will restore your basic systems, but not your weapons. Once communications are restored, I suggest you contact your superiors. It seems we need to begin our diplomatic conversations again, this time with honest intentions on both sides. As the transmission ended, Captain Kang looked around at his stunned crew. The beautiful, elegant celestial claw, pride of the Tauran fleet, now floated powerless before what they now recognized as one of the most advanced vessels they had ever encountered. Send a priority message to Admiral to as soon as communications are restored, Kang ordered. The humans are not what we thought. Not even close. Hours later, as human repair teams worked efficiently to restore the Tauran vessel's critical systems, Nari joined Kang in his ready room. The truth is clear now, she said quietly. Their ship was never a primitive explorer. It was a test of us. Kang nodded slowly. Every spacefaring species in the Alliance displays their technological achievements proudly. It never occurred to us that an advanced civilization might choose to hide their capabilities. As the Dauntless maintained position nearby, its true form now fully revealed, the Taurans were forced to reconsider everything they thought they knew about these newcomers. The humans had not only mastered advanced technology, but had developed the wisdom to conceal it until necessary, a concept foreign to the Alliance mindset. The revelation was complete. The human ship wasn't just a vessel. It was a carefully crafted message. We are not who you think we are. We come in peace, but we come prepared. And the Alliance had nearly made a devastating mistake by failing to understand. The emergency signal from the Celestial Claw reached Alliance Command within hours. Admiral Du presented the disturbing news to the High Council with barely contained fury. The holographic displays showed the transformed Dauntless in all its revealed glory, alongside data streams indicating technology far beyond initial assessments. They deceived us deliberately, Admiral Du declared to the assembled representatives. This was never a primitive vessel. The humans have been testing our responses, gauging our reactions while hiding their true capabilities. The Miri representative leaned forward. Perhaps we should reconsider our approach, if they possess such advanced technology. No, interrupted High Commander Jin, rising from his seat at the head of the council. This deception proves they cannot be trusted. They have technologies that threaten our security. This human vessel must be captured and studied before more of their kind arrive. Within 12 hours, the Alliance assembled a battle fleet. 7 advanced warships from 4 different species converged on the coordinates where the Dauntless continued to monitor the disabled Tauran vessel. The fleet included the flagship Eternal Vigilance, commanded by High Commander Jin himself. As the fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel, they formed a precise attack formation around the human ship. The Dauntless appeared almost small against the assembled firepower of the Alliance vessels. Aboard the Eternal Vigilance, High Commander Jin stood tall on the command deck. Open a channel to the human vessel. When Captain Park's face appeared on screen, Jin didn't wait for pleasantries. Human vessel, you have committed acts of aggression against an Alliance ship. You will power down all systems and prepare to be boarded. Your technology will be cataloged and your crew detained for questioning. Park's expression remained neutral. High Commander, we defended ourselves against unprovoked attacks after extensive provocations. We disabled your vessel without causing casualties. These are not the actions of an aggressor. You have 10 minutes to comply. Jin responded coldly, ending the transmission. On the Dauntless, Captain Park turned to her officers. It seems diplomacy has failed. Initiate final defensive protocols. Throughout the human ship, crew members moved with practiced efficiency. Unlike the chaos one might expect before battle, there was a calm, almost serene focus to their actions. They had trained for this scenario extensively. All sections report ready, Captain. Executive Officer Tech confirmed. Adaptive systems online. Transformation sequence standing by. Park nodded. Let's hope they reconsider. The 10 minutes passed quickly. Aboard the Alliance flagship, High Commander Jin gave the order without hesitation. All vessels, commence disabling sequence. Target propulsion, weapons, and command sections. I want that ship intact for study. 7 warships opened fire simultaneously. Energy weapons, graviton charges, and quantum-tipped missiles converged on the Dauntless from all directions. It was an overwhelming display of firepower that would have crippled any known vessel in the Alliance. As the barrage struck, the Dauntless began to change again. Unlike the partial transformation seen by the Tauran vessel, this was a complete metamorphosis. The ship's entire structure shifted and flowed like a living thing. Sections realigned, creating new geometries that seemed to defy conventional shipbuilding principles. What is happening? Jin demanded, staring at the main view screen in disbelief. The tactical officer, Han, studied his readings with wide eyes. Their ship is learning, sir. It's analyzing each weapon as it hits and adapting its defenses in real time. Energy weapons that struck the Dauntless were absorbed by the hull material itself, their power seemingly converted and redistributed. Physical projectiles were deflected by shifting panels that moved precisely to create optimal deflection angles. Quantum attacks dissipated against shields that phased in and out of normal spacetime. Impossible, Jin whispered, watching as his fleet's coordinated attack proved completely ineffective. The Dauntless continued its transformation throughout the attack. What had once resembled a conventional starship now appeared almost organic in its complexity. The hull flowed and shifted, creating new defensive configurations in response to each new attack strategy. Weapon ports appeared and disappeared as needed, firing precise countermeasures that disrupted incoming attacks without directly targeting the Alliance vessels themselves. Our sensors can't lock onto them anymore, reported the science officer. Their hull composition keeps changing. It's like the ship is alive. On a tactical display, High Commander Jin watched in growing horror as attack after attack failed. The most powerful fleet in this sector of the Alliance was proving ineffective against a single human vessel. Increase power. All weapons at maximum. Jin ordered, his composure cracking. The Alliance ships poured more energy into their attacks, pushing weapon systems beyond safety protocols. The space around the Dauntless lit up with destructive energies that would have annihilated small moons. Through it all, the human ship remained untouched, its adaptive systems constantly evolving to meet each new threat. More disturbing still, the Dauntless had yet to return fire in any meaningful way. It simply absorbed or deflected everything thrown at it. Sir, the communications officer called out, the human vessel is broadcasting on all frequencies. Captain Park's voice reached every ship in the Alliance fleet. This is Captain Park of the HSS Dauntless. We came seeking friendship. We hoped for peaceful exchange. Remember that your choices led us here. This demonstration can end now, or it can escalate. The decision is yours. As if to emphasize her point, the Dauntless finally responded offensively. Not with destructive attacks, but with precisely targeted electromagnetic pulses that temporarily disrupted the weapon systems of 2 Alliance vessels without causing permanent damage. Aboard the Eternal Vigilance, the reality of their situation was becoming clear. The tactical displays showed the Dauntless at the center of their formation, completely unscathed despite the combined firepower of 7 advanced warships. Their technology is beyond anything in our records, the science officer reported quietly. The hull appears to use some form of programmable matter that can reconfigure at the molecular level. Their energy management systems are operating at efficiencies we considered theoretically impossible. High Commander Jin stared at the transformed human vessel on the main screen. What had first appeared as a crude, primitive ship had revealed itself to be something else entirely. A technological marvel that made the Alliance's most advanced vessels look primitive by comparison. "Their ship is a monster," whispered Han, watching as the Dauntless continued to adapt and evolve before their eyes. "We're firing at it with everything we have, and it's just learning from us." The Alliance commanders watched in stunned silence as their most advanced weaponry failed against what they now recognized as a technological achievement beyond their understanding. The Dauntless had awakened fully now, revealing capabilities that redefined what they thought possible in starship design. Most disturbing of all was the restraint the humans continued to show. Despite possessing technology that could likely destroy the entire Alliance fleet, they had chosen only to defend themselves. "Cease fire," Jin finally ordered, his voice hollow with the realization of what they faced. "All vessels, cease fire immediately." As the attack stopped, the Dauntless gradually stabilized its form, though it maintained its defensive posture. The message was clear. The humans had technologies the Alliance couldn't match, yet they sought peace rather than dominance. High Commander Jin sank slowly into his command chair. "Open a channel to the human vessel," he said quietly. "It seems we have much to discuss." The monster had fully awakened, and in doing so, had changed everything the Alliance thought they knew about their place in the galaxy. They were no longer the undisputed technological leaders they had believed themselves to be. And the humans, it seemed, had known this all along. The silence that followed the ceasefire felt heavier than the weapons fire that had preceded it. 7 Alliance warships hung in space, their most advanced weapons systems rendered useless. At the center of their formation, the HS Dauntless maintained its transformed state, a marvel of technology unlike anything the Alliance had ever encountered. High Commander Jin stood motionless on the bridge of the Eternal Vigilance, struggling to process what had just happened. His fleet, representing the pinnacle of Alliance military power, had been completely ineffective against a single human vessel. "Commander," the communications officer said quietly, "Captain Park is requesting to speak with you." Jin nodded stiffly. On screen. When Park's image appeared, Jin noticed that despite the intensity of the confrontation, she appeared calm and composed. The bridge behind her showed an advanced command center with systems that made Alliance technology look primitive by comparison. "High Commander," Park began, "I appreciate your decision to cease fire. The Dauntless is powering down its offensive systems, though we will maintain our defensive posture for now." Jin found his voice. "Your ship, it's unlike anything we've encountered." "Yes," Park acknowledged. "Adaptive technology is the cornerstone of human space exploration. Our vessels are designed to transform from peaceful explorers to defensive fortresses when threatened." "Why the deception?" Jin asked. "Why present yourselves as technologically primitive?" Park's expression remained neutral, but her words carried weight. "History taught us caution. Humans developed adaptive technology because our past contains harsh lessons about survival. Our earliest encounters with other intelligent species within our own solar system nearly ended in our extinction. We learned that technological superiority doesn't always align with peaceful intentions." She paused, allowing her words to sink in. "We waited to make contact with the wider galactic community until we could protect ourselves. When we detected Alliance communications and studied your protocols, we noted how species are categorized by technological achievement. We needed to understand how you would treat those you believed to be less advanced." The implication hung in the silence between them. The Alliance had failed this test spectacularly. 3 days later, an unprecedented emergency session of the Alliance Council convened. The Grand Chamber was filled beyond capacity as representatives from all 17 species gathered to address the human situation. The recordings of the confrontation had been viewed by every council member, along with detailed reports on the Dauntless's capabilities. Admiral Du, who had so confidently dismissed the humans initially, now stood before his peers with a different message. "We made a critical error in judgment," he stated, the admission clearly difficult for him. "The humans possess technology that exceeds our own in several key areas. Their adaptive ship design represents an entirely different approach to space travel than anything in our records. The Miri representative spoke next. More telling than their technology is their restraint. They could have destroyed our fleet. Instead, they limited themselves to defensive measures. Admiral Du nodded grimly. They showed restraint we did not. This must influence our approach moving forward. High Commander Jin addressed the council next, his usual confidence noticeably diminished. I have had extensive conversations with Captain Park since the incident. The humans seek peaceful relations and knowledge exchange, just as they claimed from the beginning. Their deception was a defensive measure, not aggressive in nature. The council chambers buzzed with conversation as the representatives debated this new reality. The Alliance had never encountered a species that deliberately hid its technological achievements. The concept was alien to their understanding of interspecies relations, where technological prowess was openly displayed as a measure of status and power. "What do the humans want?" asked the Zolan representative, a small blue-skinned being known for practical thinking. "Simply what they stated from the beginning," Jin replied. "Cultural exchange, scientific cooperation, and peaceful coexistence. They have no interest in joining the Alliance formally at this time, but they have proposed a mutual non-aggression treaty and limited technology sharing." 2 weeks after the confrontation, Captain Park stood in a spacious observation room aboard the massive Alliance diplomatic station, Harmony Point. Through the transparent walls, she could see the Dauntless dock nearby, now returned to its exploration configuration rather than its battle form. "Your ship is quite remarkable," said Ral, the Alliance's chief diplomatic officer. "Our engineers are still trying to understand how your hull material can reconfigure at the molecular level." Park smiled slightly. "The technology evolved from our early work with programmable matter. It took us centuries to perfect. And you hide such achievements behind a facade of primitive design," Ral mused. "A strategy no Alliance species ever considered. We've always believed that technological superiority should be visible, a deterrent to potential aggressors." "Different evolutionary paths lead to different philosophies," Park replied. "Humans learned that sometimes the best defense is not revealing your capabilities until necessary." The treaty signing ceremony that followed was broadcast throughout Alliance space. The formal recognition of Earth and humanity as an independent spacefaring civilization marked a significant shift in Alliance diplomatic protocol. For the first time, they were establishing relations with a species that had deliberately concealed its true technological level and had proven superior in crucial areas. As the ceremony concluded, Admiral Du approached Captain Park privately. The Tauran admiral had been humbled by recent events, but his military bearing remained intact. "I owe you an apology, Captain," he said stiffly. "I dismissed your people based on appearances. It was a mistake I won't make again." Park nodded. "The deception served its purpose. We needed to understand whether the Alliance valued civilizations for their culture and ethics, or merely for their technology. And now you have your answer," Du replied grimly. "Yes," Park said, "but I'm encouraged by how quickly the Alliance has adapted its perspective. It suggests we may have more in common than initially appeared." In the months that followed, the story of the Dauntless spread throughout galactic civilization. The vessel that transformed from an apparent piece of space junk into an invulnerable fortress became the subject of endless discussion. Alliance military strategists studied the recordings, trying to understand the adaptive technology that had rendered their weapons useless. Scientists requested meetings with human engineers, eager to learn about programmable matter and phase-shifting shields. Most significantly, the Alliance began to re-examine its approach to first contact protocols and its habit of judging species primarily by their technological achievements. At an Alliance educational facility, a young Tauran student asked her instructor about the humans. "Is it true their ships can change form when attacked?" The instructor nodded. "Yes, human vessels appear simple and harmless until threatened. Then they reveal their true nature, defensive systems beyond anything we've developed." "Why would they hide what they can do?" The student asked, genuinely confused. The instructor considered how to explain this alien concept. Humans have a saying, speak softly and carry a big stick. They believe true strength doesn't need to be displayed constantly. They prefer to be underestimated rather than feared. This philosophy gradually spread through Alliance culture, changing how they viewed technology and power. The humans had demonstrated that appearances could be deceiving, and that wisdom sometimes meant hiding one's capabilities until absolutely necessary. What had begun with alien laughter at perceived primitive technology had ended with newfound respect for a species whose ships became monsters only when threatened. The Alliance had learned a valuable lesson. Never judge a species by the appearance of their ships. Sometimes, the most unassuming vessel hides the most formidable capabilities. And somewhere in Alliance space, the Dauntless continued its mission of exploration, its true nature once again concealed beneath a humble exterior. A quiet reminder that humans came in peace, but were prepared for anything less.